Welcome to the Hard Lessons podcast. I'm your host, Charlie, founder of an Oakville-based construction company. Each week, we dive into the world of business, personal development, and the entrepreneurial journey. We'll be talking with successful business owners who've been in the trenches and learned those hard lessons. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take business to the next level, you're in the right place. Join us as we turn hard lessons into stepping stones for success. All right, welcome back to the Hard Lessons podcast. Julian Brass here. Welcome to the show. Super quick intro. You specialize men's performance and health is what you guys have been doing the last year. Fucking Fit Over 40 is what's on the go now. But until now, you've been all over the map. You're an author and anxiety talking about that specialist, former CEO of Notable Life magazine. Unreal what you guys achieved with that a few years back, a while ago. I believe 100,000 or 1 million monthly listeners and 100,000 regular subscribers. Is that correct?
Viewers. It was viewers. No listeners. It wasn't a podcast, but viewers.
Or viewers. You got your coaching program, your keynote speaker. You've done some work for lots of other companies. I think Lululemon, Microsoft was one, and yoga instructor as well. Hell of a resume. Also quite popping on Instagram, almost 100,000 followers or above 100,000 followers there, and an actor now. So correct me what I left off, fill me in, and we'll hop into it.
Sure. Thanks. It's always nice to be reminded of some of the things you've done in your career. Believe it or not, I'm 41, Charlie. So, it might sound impressive, but I've been around the block almost twice as much life as you, right? If not more, actually.
Yeah.
There you
go.
I don't understand sometimes how we don't just keep on, people don't want to just keep on trying new things, doing new things, creating, selling, building, exploring, So yeah, that's some of the things I've done in my life. Yeah.
Amazing. Anything I left out? Corrections?
He executive produced my first movie recently.
Right on. Wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Certified health coach. And Notable really did grow to become the biggest, if not one of the biggest, depends who you ask, online publications for the millennial generation in Canada. So the 25 to 39-year-old, we were just leading the cultural trend for close to, I sold it after 9 years and it's still around and they're still doing amazing things. So, in 2008, we came on the scene, hit it really hard, hustled like crazy, and built something that really helped create the culture of that young, driven millennial across Canada. And it's really funny because, just give a bit of context for you and your listeners here. Hi, everybody. If it wasn't for how hard I actually hustled with Notable, I started when I was 24, I would have never really known what anxiety was. I had never had any anxiety until I started to become this young entrepreneur. And it was through that, years later, I ended up writing a best-selling book called Own Your Anxiety, because I had to learn all about it to sort of heal and help myself. And then I was able to heal and help others through that. Never would have known at that time that my suffering was going to help so many people. I was just trying to get out alive, for my own sake, and not to make my parents fucking worry that their kid had to go away for a while. But that's the thing about life. You just never know where the course is going to take you. Sometimes when we're in this stressful moment, it's like a storm and you're just why am I here? How will I ever get out? Right. But then you do get out, you do rise above, you do have a few scars to show your story. But then you look back and oh shit, all the paths connect. Now I understand.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the good old days, right? Looking back and you were in the shit, but if you just I catch myself often too of just stopping and open your eyes of and the gratefulness. There's people that pray to be in the position that you're in, even though things are blowing up and everything's going to shit. We're honestly so lucky to be able to learn these very hard lessons sometimes.
Yeah.
And suffer. But you mentioned earlier, it's just the game. It's the process. It's crazy where you're able to get and where things take you. Right. So
yeah,
on that, if you don't mind painting us picture, men's health is really what I want to hop into and focus on today. That's why you're here, what you specialize in. But you've got to know a few things to be able to have that big of an influence and be able to do that for a living. You can't just be some Joe Blow, and you're a great model for what you're able to. You are the living proof. So how did you get to that, Julian? You've been through quite a bit. Where'd all this knowledge and greatness come from?
Yeah. So to be specific for everyone listening, I work with successful men above the age of 40, okay, who have achieved all sorts of success in their life. You know, it's financial usually, like that's the barometer of success in our, society usually, unfortunately. But, it's, money, it's status, it's, often great men, great fathers, great husbands, great philanthropists, guys who really achieve success, but they are just slacking and lacking in the health and wellness and fitness department, right? So I got into this because I was once that guy, right? I was once basically that guy. I was a successful entrepreneur. Notable became a big thing. I got tons of accolades and we were making a lot of money and we had amazing clients and partnerships. And like, I was living the life for a single guy in his like late 20s to mid 30s. And I realized at a certain point that like, this is great, but, I am not actually taking care of what's most important, which is like my being, right? Like my health, my wellness, my mindset, my mental health. For some, it's a spiritual connection, absolutely, emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. I wasn't taking enough care of myself during those years. And then eventually, I had to, because I was at times, I was just so stressed or so anxious. Life sucks. Even though I was hitting sort of these material successes, life was not what I envisioned. Buying the Rolex never gave me the real long-term happiness that I thought it would. You know what I mean? Like stuff
Right.
like that. So that led me on this path of finding wellness. First, it was yoga. And yoga then opened up doors to holistic eating and nutrition and how I'm living my life, how I'm interacting with people, who I'm interacting with, what relationships I needed to cut. I learned about energy, people who are like the real deal versus, fugazis who are just out there to F you. I can swear on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guys who are just out there to really fuck you. And, I learned about all this stuff through my pursuit of wellness and mental health and some sort of spiritual connection to something big. Now, after Notable started to do well and I had a team of 30 plus people, I was able to start and actually explore some of these modalities like on the side while still being the CEO of the company. I got very into it. I became certified in all sorts of different methods and mediums. And eventually when I went on to sell the company, I decided, now I want to write this book. I want to help people take anxiety from negative to positive, from, debilitating to facilitating so they can become their superpower, their secret edge in life. And if it could work for me and it works for pro athletes and musicians who have anxiety, then why can't it work for, every other high performer, high achieving kind of person? So I wrote the book. The book became a bestseller, thank God. And, from there, I went around the world and I gave workshops, tours. I have an online course, and it became a quite successful social impact business.
And focused on anxiety, correct?
Anxiety, mental health, and overarching an umbrella of wellness. Okay.
Right.
And I don't want to go off script, we don't have to script it off topic for what we're talking about because it is a whole other conversation. But I will just quickly say one soundbite, which is that anxiety, only about 10%, the data says, and the best brain doctors in the world say that only about 10% of anxiety sufferers really need to be medicated and under medical supervision. The other 90%, all they need is a lifestyle shift. So my book is for the 90%. And for the 90%, I say to everybody that anxiety and wellness are intertwined because if you start to live a life of wellness, your anxiety just starts to diminish. Okay. So I want to make sure everyone listening understands that. But to your question, how to get into men's fitness and this enterprise that is really expanding, growing, and changing lives of successful guys over 40, it's because I was once that tech founder who was completely fucking stressed and lost, but successful to the outside world.
Right.
And then it's all the training that I used to heal myself. And then that I actually started to research and validate and work and collaborate with the specialists in the world to write this book, coupled with one last thing. The fact that I was actually a chubby guy most of my life. And I was embarrassed to take my shirt off. I was embarrassed, to go swimming at the beach unless there was no one around. Back in my teenage years, like mid-teens, hooking up with girls for the first time, the lights had to be off in order for this shirt to come off. I remember always pulling my shirt for my love handles and my man moves and my belly rolls. Like I remember nothing fit. I remember like it was yesterday. So it took me all of these years to finally reach around 40 years old and actually get in the best shape of my life without giving up my life, without doing some sort of like shitty diet where I starve myself, without like, having to go absolute no sugar ever or no alcohol ever. Like I was still able to kind of have fun, but I started to get really fucking ripped. And it's because of all the different things that I've learned along the way that I was able to put together this methodology that has now been validated by, a lot of men across North America. And that's how I got into it. I eventually, I should say one more thing. I became a certified health coach almost 8 years ago. So that was one of the things that I became certified in. So I know about coaching. I've been doing it for many, many years, but it wasn't until I hit 40 where men started being like, yo, what are you doing for your body? And then I said, okay, now it's time to put together a step-by-step program that will actually help guys achieve what I was able to achieve it as well.
Right on. Awesome. Now, back to anxiety there. That's super funny you brought it up, because I feel it's ridiculous, and not talking to the 10% you mentioned, but talking to the 90% of people that do need to read your book. It's them taking or getting prescribed some bullshit pill that reminds them they're fucked up every day, opposed to just going to the gym or fixing their mindset or reading your book. So I feel that's a huge point. And it's not like your success and the materialistic stuff doesn't matter if you're fucked up inside, if you're fat, if you're, you've got a great family, great business, but yourself that's what you have to live with. And I think it's a constant art of your continuous improving. There's no finish line. It's personal development for a reason. It's never ending. So I'm curious, hopping into really what are you focusing on with these men? Like, how does it work? They come to you, they're like, hey, I'm kind of fucked up. Help me out with this bucket of my life. Like, what's the first step?
It's not I'm fucked up. Like the guys who come to me
in this bucket of life, though, no? It's been set aside.
Right. Okay. We jumped from mental health to that. I wasn't sure what you meant. So, these guys, by the way, some of these guys are like, they're household names. Like they're very, very successful, prominent individuals who are crushing it in life. But when it comes to their health and their wellness and their fitness, yeah, they're seriously slacking. Okay. So, and they know it because either their wife doesn't want to fuck them anymore, or because they had a health scare, God forbid, many have, because their clothes don't fit, because they're tired of sweating when they just go, up the stairs or for a walk. They realize that they're not showing up as the father they could be because they don't have the energy or the muscular strength, or they they're smart men. They read something. They've been exposed to the fact that you got to be in good shape in your 40s and 50s if you want to have a great second half of your life, right? So they come to us. A lot of it is through referrals at this point, which is really, really great, obviously. It says that we're doing something right. And, we interview them, make sure it's a good fit. Not to say that like we're the only fitness solution in the world, but I would say that we are the very best for this successful male over 40, because the whole program is strategically designed for a body that has a slower metabolism, for guys that are super busy. It's for guys that have a very refined palate for great food and great alcohol. Okay. Because when you start to get to that stage of like living a life of success for many years, those business dinners and those trips, and you start to be like that's just how I eat. Like it's that or not. So we design everything for that guy in mind, and many other factors as well. And once we establish that it's a good fit, that they'll be a good client for us and that they will be able to achieve the transformation that we promise. We also, I should say one thing, there's also a nice community component around this, right? So some of my clients work one-to-one just with me directly. These are guys, like I said, like maybe celebrities, very big entrepreneurs, and some of them don't really want to be in the spotlight whatsoever, like in terms of this part of their life, and they just want to be like very low key. So that's one sort of a part of the business. And then the other part, though, which is much bigger and we work on much more and is actually less expensive and easier to get into. You still have to apply and be accepted, but it's easier to get into because of manpower. We're not able to have that many. I personally choose not to have that many one-on-one clients because it's just there's no time if I do that. It's every hour I'm working with someone. And I'm trying to change men's health for the guys over 40. So that's not really a scalable structure. But with our groups and our online programs, that is super scalable. Now, once we establish it's a good fit, we take them inside our program. It's a whole program. It's a whole guide to life, to living life in a fitness first way for a man over 40 without giving up your life. So we have, the very best, if you look at the sort of pillars that we offer and that create the fucking fit over 40 system, it's firstly all about understanding how do you set up your day for success in terms of how do you lay it out. Then there's a very deep dive on mindset and why. Why is this important? Why do you need to actually shift your life here once and for all? What matters? Why? Who are you doing it for? Once we get some of that sort of more esoteric stuff out of the way and philosophical, motivating stuff, we get into the nitty gritty. So we provide a lot of information and an actual protocol on how to eat. So every guy comes in generally not knowing a fucking thing about nutrition, and he leaves like, an amateur nutritionist. And, we provide them with this great book we created called the F Food Bible, the fucking Food Bible, right? And they quote the Bible all the time. And then the Bible's full of recipes that literally get you to lose fat and put on like real muscle, okay? Then we get into various things that we do with our body to rev up everyone's muscular system to get ready for when we move into strength training. In tandem with that, we do a lot of injury prevention, okay? So we've guys that have joined the program that say like, I've never stretched this much in my life, and I've actually never not hurt myself when lifting weights, and I've never felt this good, and my posture has never been so on point, right? Guys come in like that. So many guys, they're like that. They leave with perfect posture, way more flexible, right? Now, and you're smiling because you're like under 20, let me tell you, when
These
you're
fucking old guys, eh?
40, Charlie, you can't just like open your arms. Like most of my guys are like this, like, okay. So
Can't wait.
What's that?
I can't wait till I'm eligible for the program.
You're knowing you're going to be fine. You're not going to need the program. You're going to take care of yourself along the way. Look, you're starting at a young age. So then there's the stretching aspect and the injury prevention, we call it. Okay. The biggest enemy of getting in shape and staying in shape over 40, what do you think it is?
Either distractions or food.
Okay. So food, those are both true. Food, I would say, is number 2, but number 1 is injury. Injury is the biggest thing that prevents a guy from getting in shape because
they get injured, then they miss the next month, 2 months of the gym.
Exactly. And then they fall back. Usually they end up eating a lot of food when they're injured because they're kind of depressed and pissed off and upset. They drink too much alcohol, maybe they pick up a nice weed smoking habit or cigarettes or vaping or whatever the hell it might be. And then it's like, oh, fuck, I gotta start over. So like that actually happened to me. When I was getting close to the best shape of my life, every year I started to injure myself like 3-4 times because I was lifting heavier and running more, but I didn't have this physique. Yet I was working hard. Okay. So we teach guys how to not injure themselves. And then we have this very, very, very like second to none efficient strength training portion of the program. Guys can enter this program usually and they're like lifting 20, 30 pounds in each arm. By the end, they might be lifting 80 or 90. I'm not kidding. Okay. Like big chest press, real physiques. And then there's yoga, Pilates, core. So we help round it out with that stuff. The goal that we have is like, yes, we do make guys look fucking amazing. They get crazy physiques. They start to look better than they did in their 20s when they're in their 40s and 50s. But that's like the sort of byproduct or the result of what we really care most about, which is helping men become healthy.
Now, there's obviously like, the looks is one thing, the health. How does this relate to business and the high performance side of things? Like I know myself missing the gym a day or missing a run, like sure, the physique is part of it, but the clarity and mental efficiency you get when there's the deep work, when there's the stressful and the issues of how can you lead a team, the confidence, all of these other things. Do you mind talking about that relating to a high performer business owner?
100%. It's a great topic and question. And I'm really, pumped to be able to honestly say that I have now heard from countless guys in our program that they have sold businesses while in our program. They have started companies that they only dreamed of being able to start. I've got a guy who basically runs the commercial real estate business, the biggest portfolio downtown Toronto. He's got a huge team under him. He said, when I started, I was so worried that a business was going to suffer. And what ended up happening since I joined this thing is that I actually work less and I make more money and we close more deals because they're more energized. They're thinking clearer, right? They don't have all these food comas. And key thing we do is we help guys reduce inflammation. You reduce inflammation, you think clearer. Okay. You also show up better. I got another guy His sales went through the roof. He's in New York. His sales went through the roof because he felt more confident when he was going out to sell. Every single one of our guys, like time and time again, and again, Charlie, and everyone listening, these are like top tier people, okay? Like real influencers, not the ones with 100,000 or 500,000 or a million Instagram followers who really don't do shit with their life. I'm talking about real influencers that actually move society and actually are running all things like financial or they're the biggest builders, like real influencers. Yep. They consistently say that they are doing better. And everyone listening to this, that's not just because like fucking Fit Over 40 is the best thing ever or I'm the best coach ever. No, I mean, yes, our program is great and I'm told I'm an awesome coach, okay? But it's because when you are a healthier person and you lean into fitness and movement instead of food and booze, you end up literally having a different air about you. Your life looks different. It feels different. You become a different person, right? Your physiology actually changes. This is not like hocus pocus bullshit. It's real. It's all science-backed stuff. So, why are people more high performing when they take care of themselves? Because they actually are more energized and they get sick less. Their immune system is better. Their mental health is way, way, way better. They don't look at a business problem and think like, well, fuck, like I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, do or die. They actually approach it with grace and with way more resources and faculties, right? And, I can tell you as a guy who's lived both sides of life, like I have been overweight, have been chubby, I have been out of shape, I have been way too much someone who leans on drugs and alcohol. I've done it all. The other way of life, this way that we talk about and that we're talking about right now, is so much better. And then for anyone who's like, but I still want to drink a little bit, or I still want to eat some of my favorite cheat foods here and there, the best part about our program is that we actually designed it for those types of guys, right? Like we don't tell people to join and become a monk. It's like, learn how to have your cake and eat it too. So you could still eat those things, drink your beautiful Class Azul or your Jose Cuervo Royal Selection. I just forgot we just got one. It's amazing. It's $350 bottle, not the shitty Jose Cuervo, just to be clear. Or your single malts or your top of the line red wine, whatever it might be. You can do that. You love pizza. You can have your pizza. Oh, you're a burger guy. Yeah, no, have your burger. Do your thing, but you do it without having a fucking belly hanging over your gut.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's that we teach guys to love this fitness first life. And then you can still have your I don't like to call them treats. I like to call them treats. Have your treats, right? Give yourself permission, but you need a guidebook to stay on the path, right? And that's what we provide. We provide you with basically a guide or a map to stay on the path. So, okay, you go on vacation. You're a business guy. You go on vacation. You let loose for 5 days. You come back 5 pounds heavier with the worst hangover of your life, and now you need another vacation. Okay, I get it. I've been there. You come back on the map. You just follow the program, and before you know it, those 5 pounds have now left your body again, and you're back on the path. That's kind of what we do.